On May 11, Pakistan holds its first election in 5 years. Votes there are often marred by violence, and this year is no different, with militants launching deadly attacks on politicians and their supporters.
Now, the election has raised questions about security and the influence of women and the military on the outcome. And as VOA Islamabad correspondent Sharon Behn told On Assignment's Alexiou, young Pakistanis are also playing a more important political role. Let's take a look.
It was very interesting speaking to the young people. It was something like 100 million are under the age of 29. And, you know, a lot of those are first-time voters. The youth here are beginning to become more politicized. They're internet-savvy youth. They know that what other countries are doing, and they're getting more into the political sort of system. But in the end, what everybody was telling me was they would probably bow down to whatever the elder of their family recommended. In other words, if an elder was saying, well, I think this candidate is probably the best one, that is probably the way that they're going to vote. I don't say that that's across the board. There will be youth who will come out and vote independently. But overall, this is a pretty traditional society.
Now, another significant story in the elections this year, you had mentioned that now this is going to be for the first time in Pakistan's history, 2 women from the highly conservative tribal regions are running for parliament. What's significant about that, and who are they?
There's this whole area of northwestern Pakistan which borders Afghanistan, which is actually called a federally administered tribal area. And this is an area where the Taliban is very strong.
Badam Zari is making history by running for parliament from Pakistan's conservative and Taliban-dominated tribal belt.
I made this decision to serve and help our sisters and mothers in the area. Our area of Bajor is poor and backward. We have problems in the health and education sectors. This is the reason I decided to take part in the election.
Most women in Pakistan's tribal regions rarely leave their homes. Asad Sarwar, the official who received Zari's nomination papers, says her decision is historic in the Taliban-dominated tribal areas.
This woman has broken barriers. This is very courageous. This step will pave the way for other people, especially women.
Women's rights also remain threatened outside the strongly conservative tribal regions. Last year, Taliban militants shot teenage activist Malala Yousafzai for supporting girls' education.
What are people expecting to come out of this election?
I think of the people that I've spoken to, most of them are saying that there's no one party is really going to win a simple majority. So what's going to happen is you're going to get more coalition building within the parliament. You might even get a hung parliament. There are a lot of divisions within parliament, and that could really affect how the country moves forward. Whichever government gets voted in, it has some major problems that it has to face. It's got an economy which is really in trouble. It's got severe problems with lawlessness in different cities and areas. It's got a problem with militants, and it's got a problem with separatists. And these are significant things that they're going to have to address. But the question is, will they be able to, if it is a hung parliament, will they be able to sort of converge and get national interests up on the front burner and really come together to find a solution to those questions? And nobody's quite sure that they will be able to do that.
What is it like for you as a reporter to roam around the country, or at least in Islamabad, and talk to the people? Because I do know people who go home to Pakistan and come back and describe this country, at least parts of it, that are kind of like the wild, wild west. Kidnappings go on, there's lots of violence. Maybe that's a picture that can be painted in certain parts of the country. But from your perspective and where you get to roam around, what's it like?
Well, I think I'm really lucky to be here. I think it's a really, really interesting time to be in Pakistan, and I do enjoy it. I'm pretty free to travel around the main cities. I've been to Lahore, which is a large city to the east, to Karachi in the south, and a little bit to the north. There are areas that are actually out of bounds. You need to get something called a no objection certificate if you want to go there. The violence in Karachi is, as you said, it's a little bit wild. There are kidnappings, short kidnappings, long kidnappings, muggings, political violence. Some of this is really rubbing off onto the elections.
In Karachi, a city known for its political party violence and intimidation, Some people are being coerced into joining the political process, says rickshaw driver Mohammed Usman.
I don't want to vote, but you will do anything at gunpoint. What can we do? It forced on us. We are forced to join the rallies too.
The Taliban have threatened 3 parties, all parties which in the past have criticized the Taliban, and those 3 parties have been attacked. I think people are a little bit nervous about the violence.
And again, VOA's Sharon Behn in Islamabad. Imran, you know, it's really such a powerful statement that exercising what so many of us believe to be just such a basic right, this right to vote, can actually cost you your life.
Yeah, and it's important to mention this here, that it's the first time in the history of Pakistani elections that a democratically elected government will pass the baton to another democratically elected government.
So a big moment for sure.